The elusive Sonic Adventure 3 is a game talked about for the longest time like an ancient Chinese myth. Is it real? Was it ever considered? Could it be under our grubby little mitts at this very moment? Did I keep the stove running? All intriguing questions, indeed, that I'll be here today to answer for you lovely people. You all know the story by now. Sonic's big jump to 3D formally started with Sonic Adventure on the Dreamcast. An ambitious title, one that properly took the leap into 3D, and one that innovated on what people had expected from the franchise. Obviously, Sonic had his fast-paced gameplay translated into 3D alongside Tails, but then we got new characters with their own unique styles. Knuckles became a treasure hunter, Amy a victim, alongside newcomers Big, who introduced fishing and poorly explained controls to the franchise, and Gamma, a robot with a cool gun. Sonic Adventure 2 would take the gameplay styles of Adventure 1 and trim the fat of it, cutting out Tails, Amy, and Big to leave in the most unique styles to gameplay, Sonic, Knuckles, and Gamma. Sonic Team switched things up. It's not just the same styles from before, as they were number 1, refined, but also split up into 2 stories between Hero and Dark. Sonic and Knuckles were given counterparts in the form of Shadow and Rouge. Well, Rouge isn't really a counterpart, but you get what I mean. Tails is alongside Sonic and Knuckles, taking over the mech side of gameplay since Gamma's sort of... and his counterpart, whatever, is Eggman. Both games, while sharing a good chunk of DNA, offer a lot of differences that could cause one person to prefer one over the other. Sonic, while still playing similarly between the two titles, has a different approach to level design between the two games, with SA1 trying to be more of an adaptation of the classics with a good balance of speed and platforming. SA2 is more about constant speed and nailing down certain level bits to rack up a higher score. The treasure hunting and mech stages also had their fair share of differences, but I'm sure you get the point. Really quickly, this is not a sponsor. If you could consider subscribing to the channel, that would greatly help out a ton. And if you want to go the extra mile, subscribing to my Patreon would greatly help as well. For the price of literally half a Big Mac a month, you can support the channel, get your name front and center at the start of videos, and get early access to videos and full Patreon exclusive videos as well. Now let's get back to it. So after these two games, people were waiting for the end of the trilogy. Sure, they weren't stories that were necessarily sequels to each other, and you can play one without the other just fine, but wouldn't it look just neat to have Sonic 1 through 3 and Sonic Adventure 1 through 3? Yes, it would. Although, Sega pulled a fast one on us, as the next game we got... it's not Adventure 3, that's a bunch of bullshit! Yes, we never got our Sonic Adventure 3. In name, at least. You see, there's a small couple of games that people consider to be Sonic Adventure 3, mainly Sonic Heroes and Sonic 06. I've heard that Unleashed was in the equation, because I heard, like, somewhere once it was going to be called Adventure 3. Yeah, that would've gone well. But, the closest that game gets to Adventure 3 is the Japanese title of it, nothing else. Heroes and 06 are the ones we're gonna be taking a look at here. Now, I think the first thing we need to look at is what criteria each game meets in order for it to be in the running. And being honest, there truthfully isn't much at all. Adventure and Adventure 2 were all about doing new shit, so while yes, Adventure 2 has strong similarities to Adventure 1, it does enough of its own thing to be different enough. That's why I think that Adventure 3 deviating a little bit from the typical adventure formula doesn't really disqualify it from the running. Unless it's a too drastic change, like that's why Unleashed isn't in the ranking at all, because that's just... come on, look at this and tell me that's Sonic Adventure 3. I fucking dare you. I think the only true criteria is multiple playstyles / characters and that adventure-style kind of gameplay for Sonic stages. Without further ado, Sonic Heroes. This game was the next mainline game after Adventure 2, so right out the gate it's got a few points in its favor. What's really interesting though is looking at the actual gameplay because... oh boy, is it something. So, you play as one team at a time, which is actually 3 characters technically, and there's also 4 teams leading to a total of 12 characters. Yet, there's only, like, 1 character. Or 3. You see, the way different playstyles are handled here is different because in SA1 and SA2, you had different gameplay styles split between different individual characters. When it's time for a speed stage, you play as Sonic. When it's time to treasure hunt, it's time for Knuckles. When you want to feel depressed, it's time to play as Tails. Here, all of these gameplay styles are combined, and to get the differences of each type, like Knuckles gliding for example, now with the press of a button, you have his moveset. With the way it works, while yes, there are literally 3 characters, it's kind of only 1. Now hear me out here. Considering you have access to every gameplay style on the fly, it's more like a single character that you can swap movesets with the press of a button. It's kind of hard to determine whether to count this as multiple gameplay styles or what. For the sake of this video, I'm gonna say, yeah, it's multiple play styles, but it is very different from the preceding adventure titles. Hero's character control is easily the most different yet when compared to the adventure titles. Things are slowed down a bit here to make way for the character swap mechanic, and because of that, Sonic's controls and handling are the most different they'd been, leaving you with the gameplay gameplay style that shares some DNA with the preceding titles, but ultimately ends up feeling like more of its own thing. I will say though, in terms of the roster, it definitely feels like an Adventure 3 roster. Adventure 1 had 6 styles, with Adventure 2 refining them to 3, but having 2 stories for a total of 6, not playstyles, characters, sure, let's say characters. And Heroes doubles that to 12, but with only 1 style. It's like the amount of styles goes down, but the amount of characters goes up. So, Sonic Heroes, although it's the most different by far, it shares enough DNA to the point where you could, in fact, call it Adventure 3. It's 06. Sonic 06 is Sonic Adventure 3. It's gonna be a tough pill to swallow, but absolutely everything about this game is just Adventure 3. Back to one character at a time, with gameplay styles from SA1 and 2 for one thing. Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Rouge, Shadow, and Amy all return with very similar playstyles from their past appearances, while other characters introduce their own style or act as a counterpart. Blaze controls like Sonic, Omega is kind of reminiscent of the mech stages, and Silver is his own entirely new thing. Now, what the game does is instead of having you play as a whole team at once, or play a stage as a certain character, what will often happen is you play a large chunk of the stage as either Sonic, Shadow, or Silver, and then partway through briefly swap over to a different character to play through a section as them before returning to your main Hedgehog. It's a nice evolution of what was introduced in the adventure titles, while not straying too far away to the point where it barely plays like the same, like Heroes. On top of all this, the characters control similarly to how they did before, just a bit slower. This game actually feels like a great mixture of SA1 and 2 in gameplay-wise, as characters like Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles play very similarly to how they did in SA1, with an emphasis on more platforming for Sonic rather than the faster-paced gameplay of SA2, while still retaining elements from SA2, like a lot of the shortcuts in this game, which feel very reminiscent to that title. All in all, it feels like an extremely refined combination of the two games and how they worked, while still adding new styles like Silver. Now, it can be really hard to acknowledge and appreciate all of this in Base 06, as I'm sure you know by now, it's not very polished. But when you see that polished version, like in Project 06, and you can properly play these levels without bullshit glitchy interruptions, it becomes very obvious that this is a mixture of both SA1 and SA2. Holy fuck, I've said SA1 and 2 so much in this video, it's not even funny, man, it's so repetitive. See, I like making these sorts of videos, as when playing both games to try to answer this unimportant question, having to analyze them, I actually discovered how much of a mixture 06 is. It's something that I didn't really pick up on before, and something I would never really notice otherwise. It's fun, honestly. It's fun to learn new shit about this franchise. It's fun to see the thought process, all the inspirations, all that junk. I hope you guys enjoyed learning all this shit like I did, and if you did, please consider subscribing to the channel, as it really helps out a ton. If you want to go the extra mile in supporting me, you can subscribe to my Patreon for the price of literally half a Big Mac a month. I know this video was a little shorter than usual, but I've always been pushing myself to do 10-minute videos, and that kind of cuts me off from doing a little topics that I don't have as much to say, like this. So, you know, I'm gonna experiment with a little bit. It's usually gonna be like 10-minute videos, you know, the average. But, you know, if you see a few shorter videos now and then, don't be worried. You know, we're testing the waters, I guess. I'll see you all next time. Hope you enjoyed. Peace.
Down, you woman! Where is my time-turning device? Down, you vile woman! Victory is mine!